I feel 100% comfortable in saying that this was the Cavs' worst loss of the season and their first bad loss of the season. Now, they only have two losses so far, so there's only but so much you could take away from a bad performance from the Cavs. But I think this is one that they needed because there's some things that happened to them in this game that needs to be addressed, right? Corner three defense. It's been a problem all season for the Cavs, especially in specific corners. Like if I show you the Hawks shooting chart for this game, you're going to see that they were pretty much automatic from one corner specifically. And that's because the Cavs do a poor job of defending these threes, especially on the corners. Part of this is because sometimes they run two big lineups, but honestly, a lot of the 3-point making for the Hawks, especially on the corner threes, happened in the first and third quarter when the Cavs did not have the two big lineup out there very much often. They went to it in the fourth quarter, some in the first, but the barrage of threes from there really happened in the first and fourth quarter. The first and third quarter for the Hawks. I think it's an issue of how the Cavs kind of have this problem of overhelping, especially abandoning the perimeter to help on interior defense. I don't know how necessary it is, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's not like the Cavs did a great job defending the interior today. Cavs had a poor night shooting from three, specifically from the field. They were fine. They were 44-95, 46% from the field. They actually were just about the same as the Hawks, who were at 47. 3-point shooting kind of went through a bit of a slump. The bench was pretty terrible today. They had 16? I guess they had 16. Somehow Sam Merrill had 10, so 26. 28. I guess the bench wasn't terrible when it comes to a total points standpoint, but defensively, I don't think the bench did you any favors from three. I don't think the bench did you any favors. We got to get Dean Wade back because if I see George Niang shoot 7 threes in a game one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, this is the second time George Niang has shot a mind-boggling amount of threes on days where they're not dropping. I understand Kenny Atkinson's philosophy is that we're going to shoot until them shots don't drop. But Ty Jerome had 5 3-point attempts in this game. There is no reason that George Niang should have had 7. He was pulling on way too much of this. But George Niang really wasn't the main issue here. I think just defense, the effort on defense for this Cavs team in this game just wasn't where it needed to be up until maybe the fourth quarter when they put Jalen Tyson in and Jalen started playing some pretty good defense there. But yeah, it's just sometimes this Cavs team has the tendency to either overhelp or get a little lackadaisical defensively, especially when it comes to the perimeter. I know some people are going to point to the fact that they don't have that much length and they can't defend the 3-point line because of that. I didn't see that being the problem today, right? I thought that the issue was more about how they help, how aggressive they are on closeouts, and I think if you're going to be that aggressive on closeouts, which is fine, right? If that's how they want to play, they have to be more annoying to pass against than they are right now. And again, brings up the question of length, because length would help you clog up some passing lanes here. I think this is a game that illustrates okay, you do need Karis LeVert and his 6'7" wingspan. Okay, you do need Dean Wade and Max Strus. You need that length there because sometimes the Cavs, they're super easy to pass against because of that lack of length. And I think that leads to them continuing to have these outlier 3-point performances against them. And look, the Hawks did this while surviving a 3 of 13 from 3-point night from Trey Young. So that just tells you how well everybody else was shooting. Trey made 2 super long threes. I ain't really tripping off anything Trey Young did in this game. I don't think he played that well. Yeah, 5 turnovers, yeah, but he also had like 20 points and 22 assists. Again, the Cavs are way too easy to pass against. If Trey Young's not a bad passer, don't get me wrong there, but he shouldn't have 22 assists. That's a crazy number, right? Like, you're too easy to pass against. We're not aggressive in the passing lanes, which is fine, but we got to be attentive in the passing lanes if we're going to be this aggressive when it comes to helping in the interior, right? Like, it's just it's okay to help in the interior. It's okay to help at the perimeter. But if you allow them to pass out of it, you pretty much blow everything that you created with your aggressive perimeter defense. And I think that's why everybody else was just smacking these threes all night, right? Reicher was 3 of 6, 50%. 2 of 4, Jalen Johnson, 50%, 2 of 3, Dyson Daniels, 66%, DeAndre Hunter was at like 60%, 5 of 9, Bogdanovich was at 60%, 3 of 5, Kobe Buffington shot 2 of 2 from 3. Everybody else was just making these threes, and it wasn't even the one guy that comes in here. He's supposed to be making them threes. He was 3-13, which tells me we're way too easy to pass against. And this is going to be what hurts us if you go in with this mindset versus the Celtics. This is going to be what hurts you against better teams. You got to figure out like a good balance between in your defensive approach on how aggressive you want to be on closeouts, how aggressive you want to be to help, plus how aggressive you want to be in these passing lanes, because I'm just seeing them right now. They're way too easy to pass against. They're way too easy to pass out of double teams against. They don't disrupt these passing lanes. They get steals, no doubt, on like one-on-one possessions, but the only one getting steals in the passing lanes is Evan Mobley right now. Like, you need your wings and your 4 to be able to do that. And Evans doing a lot of that ball stealing from the not from the power forward position, but from the 5 when he's out there as the only big. This is one of the things they have to figure out, whether it means they get acquire more length so it can happen, or it means that they play different players with each other, because this is one of those nights where it really hurts you. And yeah, this is against the Hawks. Yeah, you're 17-2, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to sit here and panic and tell you that the roof is falling or anything on this Cavs team. They're still a very, very, very good basketball team. It's just they got to figure out a way to disrupt these passing lanes. And if they're not going to figure that, if they can't figure that out because it's a physical limitation of the team, then they just can't be this aggressive closing out. And they got to trust their interior anchors a little bit more. So Kenny has to do some work there on the defensive end. It's been a small storyline throughout the win streak about the Cavs' ability to their offensive ability jumping with Kenny Atkinson, but the defense has slipped a little bit. That needs to get back to where it is. I would like to see what playing Jalen Tyson in some of these lineups could do for that, because he was really good out there as a one-on-one defender, and I thought he disrupted some pass lanes while he was out there. So I think that could be helpful. George Niang, man, like, if you could trade for a different big, like, I wouldn't be too opposed to it, because it's not even like the stuff that everybody gets on George Niang about. Like, the on-ball defense, I don't think is terrible from him most of the time. And sometimes he can be a good pass lane defender, but I think if you're going to be as small as the Cavs are, you probably want to go with somebody to play the role that George Niang is, who maybe he doesn't make as many threes and take as many threes, but he has the length to be a kind of more disruptive defender. That's why I think, like, you got to try Dean Wade out there more often once he comes back. And if Dean Wade's not going to be helpful, then you got to look for somebody who could be an athletic 4 for you, that can kind of disrupt those lanes, because I think that's a big part of why the Cavs continue to give up these outlier games when it comes to 3-point shooting. That's my thoughts on this one. First bad Cavs loss of the season. And look, they're going to have more bad losses on the year. It's also their first home loss here. The good news is that this wasn't the NBA Cup game for the Cavs. That is Friday in Atlanta. And I want to see how this Cavs team responds, right? Your first loss of the year that I would categorize as ugly. Kenny Atkinson after the game categorized it as ugly. So how do you respond to an ugly loss? How do you come out and play? Because let's also not forget, they gave up a 20-point lead in this game. They came out firing and just took their foot off the gas and then let Atlanta get hot and just, this was not a way that you would want to lose a game if you're the Cavs. It's not a loss that you feel fine about. This is a loss where you go in and you want to look at the film and change some stuff because it just exposes some flaws. Because the Hawks shouldn't beat you by 10 points at home, and the Hawks shouldn't be able to beat you when you get 20-point lead in the first quarter, let alone come back from a 20-point lead in that same quarter. That tells you a lot about what you're struggling with as a defense when it comes to closing out on these threes, because you're only going to come back from 20 points in a quarter if the other team is shooting a ton of threes in that same corner and making them. And if you look at the shot clock, the shot chart for the Hawks in the first quarter, lo and behold, what are you going to see? A ton of corner threes. So that's going to be one of the things that they have to look at. Why are they giving up so many outlier performances? Yeah, part of it is that Karis LeVert, Max Strus, and Dean Wade are out, and hopefully they could return. I know on ESPN it says that Dean Wade and Karis LeVert could potentially return as soon as Friday. I think that would be great. Max Strus is listed for Sunday as a possible return date, but we'll see. I just think this is a wake-up call for this Cavs team. Defensively, they've been getting away with some bad habits and some bad play. Now they're not going to get away with it. Let's see what they do against the Hawks in the NBA Cup game to get this win back. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.